Alrighty, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Solo video, and today I'm going to be doing a should you or should you not summon for the upcoming GOAT Aventurine. So pretty much this video is going to be going over his kit, areas where he's extremely strong in, areas where he may struggle in, and then obviously the verdict of whether you, the player, or the viewer I guess in this scenario, should summon for him or will you be safe or better off skipping. Pretty much, again, I will talk about his strengths, I'll talk about why he's really good, why he may not be good for some other players, playstyles, that kind of stuff, like I usually do in my other ones, and then obviously try to help you make the decision if you want to summon. Obviously, this guide is going to be mainly tailored towards players that are morally torn between they want to summon but they don't know if he might not be the greatest fit for their account. And so this video is going to be for those players looking for that kind of help. Obviously, if you are already decided to summon or skip, this video might not be too beneficial to you. I'm going to be helping the people that are torn between. Anyways, before I get to the video, drop a like, hit sub, bell icon, all that kind of stuff. Let's go. So first, let's go over his kit. So Aventurine is an imaginary character following the path of preservation. His basic attack deals imaginary damage equal to 100% of Aventurine's defense to a single target enemy. His skill provides all allies with a fortified wager shield that can block damage equal to 24% of Aventurine's defense plus 320, lasting 3 turns. When fortified wager is gained repeatedly, the shield effect can stack up to 200% of the current shield effect provided by the skill. Yes, it can stack. His ultimate randomly gains 1 to 7 points of blind bet, then inflicts unnerved on a single target enemy for 3 turns and deals imaginary damage equal to 270% of Aventurine's defense to a single target enemy. When an ally hits an unnerved enemy target, the crit damage dealt increases by 15%. So what this does mean, his ult is obviously, as it says, a single target. You'll throw the ult, you'll hit the enemy with the ult, you'll gain points of blind bet, and what unnerved is the enemy you chose to hit will be inflicted with that unnerved. So let's say the next person to attack that enemy is your Akron. So when your Akron attacks that enemy, that specific enemy that is inflicted with the unnerved will be taking 15% increased crit damage dealt. So very nice damage bonus right there. And now for his godlike talent. For any single ally with fortified wager, their effect res increases by 50%. Yes, 50% effect res. And when they get attacked, Aventurine gains 1 point of blind bet. When Aventurine has fortified wager, he can resist crowd control debuffs. This effect can trigger again after 2 turns. Aventurine additionally gains 1 point of blind bet after getting attacked. Upon reaching 7 points of blind bet, Aventurine consumes the 7 points to launch a 7-hit follow-up attack, with each hit dealing imaginary damage equal to 25% of Aventurine's defense to a single random enemy. Blind bet is capped at 10 points. So, as it does say, provides a lot of effect res to your team. It's really easy to get those stacks of blind bet. Someone on your team just has to have the shield up, and if they get hit, it gives them a point. If he gets hit and he resists the crowd control, he gets 2, so that's godlike. And then obviously with the ultimate, as it did mention, when you do throw that out, you do gain points blind bet, and once you get 7, follow-up attack. That follow-up attack at E0, E0S1, it's not going to be crazy, but that's still roughly, if you build him properly, around 15 to 30k. Especially with how easy it is to get, he does have a really nice sub DPS potential. Moving on to his technique. So what his technique does is after using the technique, one of the following effects will be granted. There is a chance for defense to increase by 24%, there is a high chance for defense to be increased by 36%, and there is a small chance for defense to be increased by 60%. When this technique is used repeatedly, the acquired effect with the highest buff value is retained. When the next battle starts, increases all allies' defense by the corresponding value for 3 turns. Pretty much, as we do know, our boy is a gambler, so with this technique, you do have some gambling. When you do pop it, as it says, there's a chance, a high chance, and a small chance. The highest chance is to get the mid-roll of 36% defense, the smallest chance is going to be the best, being 60%, and the middle ground is going to be 24%. And then obviously, as it does mention, if you use it multiple times, let's say you use it 3 times for whatever reason, you're just having fun. The first time, you get the 24%, the second time, you get the 60%, and the third time, you get the 36%. Because the highest value you got there is the 60%, that highest value will be retained for your next fight. So the next battle you go into will have that 60% bonus for 3 turns to your allies. And now going over his bonus abilities. For his first one, after an ally with fortified wager launches a follow-up attack, Aventurine accumulates 1 point of blind bet. So pretty much, follow-up attack characters can help him get blind bet even faster. This effect can trigger up to 3 times. And its trigger count resets at the start of Aventurine's turn. After Aventurine launches his talent's follow-up attack, provides all allies with the fortified wager that can block damage equal to 7% of Aventurine's defense plus 96, and additionally grants a fortified wager that can block damage equal to 7% of Aventurine's defense plus 96 to the ally with the lowest shield effect, lasting for 3 turns. So this does also make it really easy to have uptime on his shield. Very easy, all you gotta do is rock up his follow-up attack just to have some mini refreshes. Very nice, well, not refreshes, little add-ons if you already have it up, but refreshes if you do run out. So it is really easy to have his shield uptime. Second bonus ability, when the battle starts, grants all allies a fortified wizard shield, which shield effect is equal to 100% of the one provided by the skill, lasting for 3 turns. So when you go into the battle, you already have a shield. Very nice, so you don't have to use a skill right off the bat. And his third bonus ability, my god, this one gives him even more potential as a sub DPS. For every 100 of Aventurine's defense that exceeds 1600, increases his own crit rate by 2% up to a maximum of 48%. So as it exactly says, for every 100 defense that you have that exceeds 1600, you gain 2% crit rate. To get the maximum of 48%, you need to have a total of 4000 defense. So at 4000 defense, you have a baseline 48% crit rate, which is actually just insane to get for free. Because not only does he scale off defense, his shield is obviously scaling off defense to make it even more strong, and at 4000, his defense shield is extremely powerful. And not only now you have a strong, lasting shield, you now have 48% crit rate upon that. So it's really easy to build him as a sub DPS if you do go that route. Obviously, going full sustain is completely fine, but if you do want to have him sort of as a DPS sustained character, little harder to do on the lower dupe side because as we do know, his dupes is a lot more offensive, but the potential is still there with his ults being able to hit the 20 to 30k, same with the follow-up attacks going all the way up to 40k that I've seen before. He has a lot of potential. And now very quickly going over his Eidolons, because this is mainly a talk about the baseline of Aventurine, not really talking about his dupes, because if you were planning to go for dupes, you are probably already set on summoning for him. So his first one, pretty much what it does is with everyone that has a shield, they have 20% crit damage, just like Fushuan. When you have Matrix up, everyone has 30% crit damage. So anyone with the shield does have 20% crit damage, and when you do ult, you provide a fortified wizard shield, which is equal to the one provided by the skill, lasting for 3 turns. Second Eidolon, when you use his basic attack, he reduces the person you attack's all type res by 12% for 3 turns. Very good. And now his fourth dupe, where his DPS does increase. When you do proc his follow-up attack, you will first increase his defense by 40% for 2 turns, and you also get 3 extra hits to that follow-up attack. So as we do remember, his follow-up attack used to be a total of 7 hits. It's now increased with an additional 3. So now when you do proc his follow-up attack, you hit 10 times instead of 7 times. And now, my god, for a massive damage increase for a DPS Aventurine, E6, anyone that holds a shield pretty much gives them a 50% damage dealt bonus up to 150. So when you do proc his ultimate, if you have the E1, because if you have E6, you have the E1. So anyone with a shield will give him specifically 50% damage dealt. So if you have one person with the shield, besides him, you have a 50% damage dealt, 2 will be 100%, and 3 will be 150% damage dealt. This skyrockets his damage. Trust me, if it wasn't obvious for it being 150, this really does. I've tried it, it's absolutely insane. But again, not really talking about the dupes, let's mainly talk about the other things. So, where is Aventurine good? Aventurine is practically good on every single team that you can imagine. He is going to be the next character that is as versatile as Fushuan. As we do know, Fushuan is that versatile unit, practically being the sustain, best sustain for practically every team, with the max HP provides, with the practically just being immortal, but she does have her little area where she does struggle, being large hitting AoEs. Aventurine, pretty much he is going to sort of be the opposite, where I still think when you're fighting a boss that might do heavy single targets, or like high key, just focus one unit in particular, that's where I do think Fushuan is a little better, but when it comes to AoE bosses that might be a little annoying, that is where Aventurine is better. He doesn't provide as supportive values as Fushuan does. As we do know, Fushuan's Matrix gives your team 12% crit rate and also gives max HP based on her own. Aventurine doesn't do that, but he does have the debuff portion. That unnerved does count as a debuff, and when you do hit someone with it, they will be taking more damage from crit damage dealt, so that's another bonus he has. A proper built Aventurine practically means you, for the most part, will never have your shield broken. It is actually insane how broken his shield is. It is actually insane how broken his shield is, by the way. So he is practically good on every single team in the game. That's why I don't really have to talk about this. On an Acheron team, very good. On a follow-up attack team, he is the best in-slot sustain unit you can use. For any general teams, Danhang, all that kind of stuff, he is another fantastic as equal option as Fushuan is. Aventurine is absolutely insane for his versatility. And now for mainly where you might not want to use him. So the only 2 teams or 2 areas you might not want to use them on is 1, the dot team. Just like Fushuan, Aventurine isn't going to be that crazy on the dot team. As both Fushuan and Aventurine are, they're both usable on dot. Aventurine is still really good on dot for being the sustained portion. He's obviously not going to be the best because someone like Huohuo is going to be better because of the energy and attack she provides. And since the attack percent and attacking values that she provides is a lot more valuable, Aventurine only provides the debuff to increase crit damage and also making your team stay alive, while Fushuan gives crit rate, And as we do know, dot isn't really known for critting. It's mainly for attackers that scaling dot effects. So something like Quoho is going to be better. Healers overall are just sort of better on the dot team. Not to say they're not usable, but they won't be as powerful. So Aventurine, that is a one thing. If you are a dot main, you don't really have to consider Aventurine for your dot team. And the only other place where you don't want to use them is, this is going to be a no-brainer, but Mono Quantum. There is a very big reason why you don't want to use him on a Mono Quantum team. You guessed it, it's because he's not Quantum. So don't bother. Can't really say anything else. He's imaginary, not quantum, so don't put him on Mono Quantum. He can rig though, I will say, he can rig, but it's not called Mono Quantum having 3 quantum. It's Mono Quantum having 4 whole quantum because it's mono, so that's obvious. And so now, finally, the big question of whether you, the viewer, should or should not summon. Let's first start with why you should summon. You should summon if you are in another need of a sustained character. There are a lot of new players, there are a lot of new returning players, all that kind of stuff that do comment on my videos saying they really don't know if they should summon, but then they tell me there's supports and sustains, and I see, yeah, having DPS is nice and all. You maybe want to save for someone like Boot Hill or something like that, or you maybe want to save for the Jinglu rerun that's going to be with him, or a different rerun. You need to have 2 good sustains, because you're not going to deal damage if you're dead. So if you are in need of sustained characters, Aventurine is a no-brainer yes. You should really summon on him if you are in need of sustained character. If you are in look of one character that does more than just sustaining like Fushuan does, like let's say you have Fushuan, but you might not have another sustained character that's up to par, he is another fantastic option. Or let's say if you don't have Fushuan and you're looking for sustain that does more than just sustaining. For example, let's say you don't want to just have someone like Luocha, where Luocha's healing output is absolutely through the roof, but he doesn't really do much besides that. Aventurine is another fantastic option for that role because, as again, built properly, he has fantastic sustaining capabilities. His shield practically never breaks. He not only gives you a debuff on the ultimate, making the enemy take more crit damage, he also has a really nice follow-up attack that can deal really solid damage. So Aventurine can be this sustain / sub DPS hybrid thing that you are looking for that is more than just a sustained character. So if you fall into those categories, pretty much all you really need to do to know if you're in that category is look at your account, build your 2 teams, and see, do I really think I'll benefit from another DPS or Harmony support, or would I benefit a lot more for having a better sustain? Let's say your first team, has Fushuan, Akron, that kind of stuff. Your second team might have someone like Danheng or Jinglu or Zele or something like that, but then you look at the sustain and it's someone like Lynx. Then you probably would want to consider summoning for Aventurine. And now, for the question of whether you should not summon for Aventurine. The time where you should not summon for Aventurine will be if you do have sustains already on your account and built. That is practically the only reason you would not want to summon for him. So pretty much you look at your account, you're like, first team, I have a Fushuan, very well built, or just built in general. Second team, I have Huohuo or I have Luocha. If you already have your 2 set in stone sustains, or if you're using something like Fire MC / Jeopard for Universal Market, or you just have a really well built Jeopard in general, and you already just have your sustained units there and ready to go, and they don't really fail you, and you aren't really thinking you are in need of another preservation character, then there you go. There's your free reason to skip Aventurine and save for someone else. But outside of that, because of how versatile he is, just as versatile and just as good as Fushuan is, obviously in his own category because him and Fushuan do 2 different things, but their core aspect is sustaining, he's just as good as she is, so he's going to be really hard to be considered to skip. But again, if you fall into that category, then you are safe to skip. And so yeah, that is how you should go about finding out if you should skip. And so yeah, that is the video. That is if you should or should not summon for Aventurine. Let me know if you guys are going to be summoning for him, because me personally, I do have a live stream already scheduled that you can look now. Wait for the time where he comes out on NA, because I will be going for the E6R5. Don't know if I can do it in that stream exactly, but I want an E6R5. He is my favorite character. He has my favorite kit in the game. I already have sustained characters, but I don't care. He's the GOAT. I'm gonna have a bunch of videos on him so you guys can see. Gonna be absolutely great. So let me know. Also let me know what kind of other videos you guys are looking for, because I'm slowly bouncing back into uploading more consistently, because again, I did have to take a little bit of a pause from school. But we are slowly coming back, so definitely let me know what kind of videos you guys are looking for with the upcoming characters, with the upcoming updates, all that kind of stuff. Definitely would consider it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.